Welcome to Talking Grit, a Detroit Lions podcast. Powered by the Monroe County Reporters. Here are your hosts, Jason Harwood and Jacob Litton.
Welcome to another episode of Talking Grit. I am Jason Harwood. With me is my friend, my pal, and your friend too, Jacob Litton. How you doing today, man?
I am good. Had to suffer through the questionable Pistons loss last night and had to suffer through the Tigers getting swept by the Mets with some more questionable umpire/referee decisions today. So not a great couple days for Detroit sports. Did you catch any of those games?
I did not. I was out and about today. I had doctor's appointments I had to go
Be
to.
glad that you were.
Yeah, I don't know about. So I hate to say this out loud because it makes me feel like I'm not a real fan or whatever. But there are times where, like with the Tigers, like I just can't watch them because I just know they're gonna blow it, and I just don't want to mentally go put myself through. Now, I what's crazy is I'm constantly checking on my phone, like doing the game day, game pass and thing. But like, if it doesn't look like it's good, I will step away for a minute and just to collect my thoughts and then go back to it. And then, if they do come back or whatever, then I get instantly pissed that I didn't watch it. But do you ever feel that way, or you just you power through it?
Absolutely. But see, the thing is, I think that you go from the Lions perspective where, you've got 17 games in a season, 16 games used to, you want to watch all those games regardless of what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
The 0-16 season, just week in and week out wasn't going your right way, but you want to watch, you have limited time, it feels like, right? And then when you talk about the Red Wings and the Pistons, okay, then they're 82 games. Now it's like if I miss a game here or there, it's not the end of the world, but it's like I still like to see not the Red Wings as much as the Pistons, but I still like to watch most Pistons games. And then when you talk about the Tigers, 162, a lot of them are during the day. In the grand scheme of things, one win or loss does not make or break anything. So I kind of in the same boat there where it's like, okay, you know what? If I miss seeing this one live, not the end of the world for me. As far as if they're winning or losing, that doesn't, I can't lie and say I've never, watched them go down 7 runs or whatever and be like, okay, you know what? I'm going to go do something else. But
yeah,
today was different. Today was, it was a close game. There were some challenges. Hinch got thrown out. I don't know how much you know about it, but it was just.
No, I don't know anything. I just saw that you were pissed and people were agreeing with you on Twitter. Yeah.
Livid. I just don't. So, okay, back, we'll relate this to the Lions. This is a Lions podcast, but it's one of those things where, they challenge the play. You see the replay. Every single person seeing the replay sees definitive answer there. Okay, was he in bounds? Was he out of bounds? Every person, both sides are like, okay, yeah, that was a catch. And in this case, it was a slide into third base. And they called him out. It was the new guy, Gage. They called him out and they show the replay. The Tigers challenge it. They show the replay, 100% obvious. You can see the glove is not there yet when his hand is on the base. It takes them a ridiculously long time, though, to review this play. And I guess even the Mets announcers and the people in the stadium, it was just known, he's safe. Everyone looking at that says he's safe. They come back, no. They said that, he has been ruled out. Hinge argues, they throw him out right away. And it's just one of those things where it's the picture, you're seeing every replay, all the best replays that you have. There is a still image where you can see the space between, he's on the base. You see the space and the glove is not there yet. Why? How do you have the replay? How do you have the ability to look at all of this and you still get it wrong? And then a couple innings later, had the same Wencel Perez sliding into first base. I think that one, though, they called him safe. And then they challenged it. And it was another one where it was okay, this is kind of questionable. This was not cut and dry black or white. This was a questionable, this was a close call. So then it was well, they probably don't have enough to overturn this one, right? Well, wrong. They overturned it and they ruled him out. And that's when it just starts to feel okay, what are these Detroit teams doing to this umpire?
Yeah, I don't even want to. We need to get on to line stuff, but the Pistons situation too, the last few games, and then the end regulation yesterday. I wanted to throw my remote through my TV. I was livid. All right, man. Let's move on to this line schedule. We've been waiting for a while. Obviously, since the draft, this is the next big thing. Although for me as a season ticket holder, I am waiting. I cannot wait for this to come up. I want to know what Sundays, Mondays, Thursdays that I might be at, heading to Ford Field. It came out. First, let's talk about, before we talk about the schedule release video. Did you watch it?
I did. I was kind of surprised that was the scheduled release video because it was so short.
Exactly. That tells me that let's get back to basics. It's all throughout the whole organization, right? Like a simple thing.
Back to
Dan
business.
Campbell prints out the schedule and posts it, and that's it. That's the schedule release video this year.
I'm okay with it. I do like how some of the teams do the elaborate stuff. Did you watch the Chargers?
I haven't watched any other team yet. That's something that I'll probably do while I'm laying
make a
in
point
bed
to
tonight.
watch the Chargers. I don't watch every other team unless somebody comes out with something golden that everybody's talking about. But the Chargers, year in and year out, have something good.
Mm-hmm.
And this year they had a Halo themed one. So it was like the video game Halo, and then week in and week out. And they take different digs at the teams and different things like that. So, and it was another really good one. It's like 5 or 6 minutes long.
Was there a Vrabel
There
dig?
was. There was.
Okay. Don't tell me what it was, but I want to know. Okay.
It's subtle. Yeah. It's very subtle, but yes, you'll see.
Because the NFL said that they're not gonna investigate this. They're just gonna let it go. So, which is fine with me.
This was very subtle. They were careful not to be like very in their face about it, but a nice little shot. It was well done.
All right. Schedule. Let's talk about it. Your first impression, just overall, good, bad, simple, like one phrase or one word. Like, what are you thinking?
I'm okay with it. There was only a couple things. Like, I didn't want an early bye week. The bye week is in week 6. So, I mean, that's earlier, but I mean, that's okay. It's not the first round of them. Honestly, the first thing that stood out to me was that it seems like there's way more 1 o'clock games than there were last year.
Yeah. Yeah. I am thankful for most of the games that aren't 1 o'clock are away. And so for me going to the stadium, this is great. I don't have to worry about getting late. And we'll talk about some of the things that I like later on. But my first impression is, okay, I'm not happy with the bye week being week 6. I knew that going to Germany was going to throw that in there, but it sucks that they couldn't help us out with a bye week with that game, and especially putting that where it's at. So not happy with that. But as far as like the home schedule for me going to, I'm okay with. I am happy that I get to see the Packers and it not be on a Thursday or a Thanksgiving. Like this will be the first Sunday, I think, since I've had season tickets that I will see a Lions Packers game on a regular Sunday. So I am happy about that. That is a 425 game. I think that might be their only home 425 game.
And that's coming off a bye too. So I mean, we kind of have the benefit there.
Yes.
But the Germany thing, like, it feels like they could have helped us out and tied in the bye week there. But Rod had said before, it just didn't sound like that was going to happen. But what I did not realize until they released it is that Tampa Bay is going to, that's our next opponent. So we get a 7-day window from the time we're in Germany playing until we play at home at 1 p.m. against Tampa Bay. Tampa has a bye when we are in Germany. Yeah. So the Buccaneers will have like a 14-day window where they're just waiting for us while we're doing all the traveling and everything. So, that kind of sucks.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like hearing that. I guess I hadn't looked at kind of one of the bad things about us doing it immediately with the schedule releases that we didn't have time to dive into the rest of the stuff.
This is true first reaction stuff.
Yes. No, and that's okay. I like both avenues. Like this is our true first reaction where we haven't had time to think about it, polish everything up. This is like very raw feelings and stuff like that. What do you think, looking at this, what do you think is the toughest part of the schedule? One thing just jumps right out at me, but there's probably two that I would say is the toughest.
I would just like first reaction when I'm looking at it, it's just the end of the season, right? At Minnesota, then we're home. We get the home game primetime versus the Giants, but then we're at Chicago, we're at Green Bay. So 3 out of the last 4 weeks of the season are at divisional opponents. And at Chicago and at Green Bay are going to be cold, weather affected games too. So that is less than ideal. That is the one that looks like the toughest stretch to me. Is there a different one for you, or that's what you're looking at as well?
That's what I would say. Not only are like first that jumped right on me is 2 road division games. Like I was like at Bears, at Packers. We kind of knew earlier today that we were going to be facing the Packers at the end of the season, hoping that we got, the home game. Nope, we're gonna end the season in Green Bay, but then to go to Chicago the week before, and when you look at the dates, they're late too. Like that week 17 game is January 3rd. The week 18 game is going to be possibly January 10th, unless they give us that Saturday game. But you're right, it's going to be freezing cold. That we're going to have to deal with some weather in those games. And then after I get over looking at those two, going, "No, that sucks," I realize 2 weeks before that we're at Minnesota. So like having 3 division games in the last 4 weeks, just overall that's tough. But 3 road division games, that sucks. I mean, the advantage is that we get to play all our division home games earlier and hopefully gain some ground on them. Does it also means that we're probably not going to lock up the division early because there's going to be a lot of, they could take,
The
lot of
other
things could
teams would
happen
have
at
to
the end of
do
the
very
season.
bad, right?
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yes.
this is different than last year. I didn't want to start off with a divisional game again, and I did not want a
Yeah.
divisional game on Thanksgiving. We didn't have to start with a divisional game. We've got the Saints week 1, and that's a regular
Mhm.
home 1:00 game. I'm all for that. The Bears on Thanksgiving. At least it's not the Packers, but I still, I've already talked about that. I don't care for division on Thanksgiving. But
Yep.
my question to you, because last year we had Packers, then we had Bears. 2 divisional games the first 2 weeks. We were still trying to figure things out. Obviously, the Packers game set us back a little bit. So, would you rather play the divisional games the first couple weeks, or would you rather do what we're about to do and save those for the end?
I don't
I mean,
like either
ideally
of
you'd
those
space them
choices.
out. Right. Ideally you'd
Yeah.
space them out, but I'm just saying, would you rather them be at the end of the year or the beginning of the year?
Well, I think the caveat here is that they're all road ones, and I think that one, if it was all road, I'd rather have one of them up front. I would rather have one of like the Vikings, for instance. I think the Vikings on the road week 1, I would have taken that over this. However, if we had one of those home things, I don't like having a division the week 1, and I kind of liken it to college football, where before you get into conference play, you got a couple weeks of warming up, and whether you're going to play a very weak opponent or someone, even if you're playing a strong opponent but it's outside your conference, it doesn't ruin your conference record. You still have a chance to win your conference. I'd rather have that, although I really hate the way this broke down the end of the season. That it's I don't think it's necessarily fair. I don't really like it. And then the fact that we got an early bye week on top of that means we're going to be, you know, beat up going into those games. You know, I don't know. But I guess another way to look at it, I hadn't even thought about this as, it branches out, right? Like until November, that means we're getting Branch back for those, assuming he comes back, we're going to have Branch back for those division games at the end. So that is a huge benefit uh, for us, for me.
Right. That's true. I did not think of that.
So, when you look you look back, let's just say Branch comes back November, October 25th, we play the Packers. November 1st, we get Minnesota, and then week 9 is at the Dolphins, but week 10 is when we start, we got the Patriots, Buccaneers, Bears. Man, if I'm looking at the schedule, I'm really hoping by like week 10 we have Branch back to head into the Germany, and then, you know, the Bucks are going to be tough most likely, and then, you start hitting a lot of division games.
Right. Real quick, just
Wait,
because
yeah,
I
go
just
ahead.
want to talk about because the primetime games. I just
Hmm.
want to touch on that because it was, we do have 4 primetime games, not including the Thanksgiving game and the Germany game. Last year we had 5 primetime games. We also had 2, we had the Christmas and the Thanksgiving. Thank God they didn't do that to us again. But
God, yes.
I know I texted you about this already, but I mean, were you surprised by the primetime opponents? The one that was leaked right away was at Buffalo week 2. We're opening, that's their new stadium debut. That's a huge game, and I think they nailed it. Lions at Bills week 2 is going to be awesome. The weather won't be too much of a factor in that one, hopefully. Like, that is great. outside of that, the other 3 primetime games were very surprising to me. The
Okay.
Panthers in particular. But I mean, what was your thought about that?
I love Buffalo playing them, not necessarily on a Thursday. I do like it that it's an early Thursday. For some reason, let's get that Thursday game out of the way early on. Whatever. Everything is all screwed up at the beginning of the season, anyways. Let's put it on equal ground. We're going to be there. They're going to be all this hoopla on their opening their stadium. They're going to have all this extra stuff. Yeah, they're going to have juice, but, you know, I think we're going to have juice too going in. I could
That's
just see
going to be
Dan
a
Campbell
good
going,
game.
I just see Dan Campbell going, let's ruin their opening their stadium. Let's get the first touchdown. Let's be everything at this stadium. First touchdown ever, Jameer Gibbs, Amon Ra. Like
Yeah,
someone just
right.
like let that always be in the let that always be a trivia question, right? So I'm not gonna argue with it. I don't think it's particularly I don't think it's devastating that we are on the road or that we're the first opponent in Buffalo. Do you wish we weren't the first opponent? Do you like that we're the first opponent? I mean, what's your feelings on that?
No, I love that. I think that's awesome. And that's why I said, man,
Mhm.
I think they nailed that. Lions Bills is a huge game, and that's
Yeah.
perfect. I'm okay with the Thursday night thing because it's early and because of that
Mhm.
type of game, that type of situation, everything. Like you said, they're gonna all the bells and whistles, all the special stuff they're gonna be doing, they're pulling out all the stops and everything. It's gonna be a huge environment, and that's when, it's week 2. So everybody's riding a high right then. There's still a lot of unknowns about how your season is gonna look. I
Mhm.
love that one.
Yep. It's also puts Lions win that game, puts you right on the mat of the power rankings like thing, everything. Because assuming week 1 goes how we feel it's gonna go, week 2 you win there. You're before the bye week, your schedule. I mean, we should be able to win these games. You know what I mean? Buffalo's your tough game in that first set. If we win that game, then we're gonna be looking good going into the bye week, and then you got home games after that. It looks like 5 out of the next 6 are home games, but one's in Germany, so it's
Right,
not
right.
really a home game, unfortunately.
Couple divisional ones too. Real
Yeah,
quick, because Twitter just pointed out, or I just saw that the Patriots bye week is week 11. So the Patriots, when they come home from Germany, they have a bye week,
yeah,
and that's probably why they can't give it to the Lions, is because the Patriots are favored.
yeah. I I don't know why. Like Rod Wood said, they wouldn't give us the bye week there. Like especially going in, you're playing Thursday afterwards. Why can't we have a bye week leading into Thanksgiving? I don't get that reasoning. I mean,
Right.
some of it sucks for the players because you don't get a true full bye week because then you come back and then you got a Thursday game. But I bet you if you ask the players, they'd probably rather have that week off after Germany and then, go into
Yeah.
Thanksgiving. You had asked about Carolina, if I was surprised about that. I mean, I haven't looked at all of Carolina's games. I can't imagine they're getting a ton of prime time games. They were playoff. They did, make the playoffs last year. So it doesn't surprise me that they're getting that. Are you just surprised at the combination Lions at Panthers like that, or just that the Panthers, are one of our primetime games?
I'm surprised that the Panthers are one of our primetime games.
Yeah.
That was surprising to me. The Panthers have Sunday night football against the Lions. They've got a Thursday game against the Packers, and then they play Monday night football against the Buccaneers. So
Okay.
3 primetime games for the Panthers. But the point I was making is that the Panthers over under is like 6 wins this year. They don't
Yeah.
have high hopes for them. And if we're being honest, I mean, they were not great last year, right? I mean,
Yeah.
yes, they made the playoffs, but that, they did not have a great year. So, and then you couple
Yeah.
that also, like, the Saints are a 1 o'clock game as expected. Jets are a 1 o'clock game as expected. But then you talk about the primetime games are the Giants and the Panthers.
And
Weird. Especially because the Giants game is so late into the season that there's a chance the Giants only have, 4 wins or so at that point.
yeah, I think it's some of it's the Jackson Dart type, Harbaugh. They're going to get that. Plus, they're a New York team. They're going to get that. I tell you one thing that I do like about that Lions getting a Monday night game at that particular point is that the boys will be on winter break. So this might be a Monday night game that I get to go to with my
Yes.
with my season tickets because we don't have to worry about school the next day. So I originally thinking I'd probably be selling that game if a Monday night game, not necessarily knowing that it was going to be the Giants or whatever. When I was thinking ahead of what games I might get rid of, because they usually sell two games to try to help pay for next year's. It doesn't pay for next year's, but help pay for next year's. The Giants are going to be one of them, but I'll probably be selling the Thanksgiving Day one. But I think I've never been to a Monday night game, and I think this is going to be a good opportunity for the boys and I to go to a Monday night game. So I'm thinking that we'll probably end up going to that one. So I do like that from that angle. The home schedule in itself, like as far as like a season ticket holder, outside of the division games, wasn't going to be that impressive. The Patriots were the game. There was going to be like, okay, we get the team that was in the Super Bowl last year. They're coming into our house, but no, the NFL decided to give that to Germany, which kind of just pisses me off. It pisses me off like I can't go see it, but it also pisses me off that it's at 9:30 in the morning on like that game. That could potentially be a a big game, and they're putting that early on. It was clearly out of the international slate. To me, it was the best game out of the international slate as far as like teams I'd be interested in watching.
Yeah, that's not typically the type of games that you see at 9:30 in the morning,
Mm-mm.
right? Usually you're like,
Yeah,
"Oh crap, yeah, that's right. There's a 9:30 game. I almost forgot. Let me, I'll
yeah.
like cut in and out of this game while I'm doing other stuff, getting my, fantasy football team ready." And now here you have a very high profile game that a lot of people normally would be tuning into and it probably would have done very well on like Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday night football.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, I thought it was gonna be I thought that'd have been a perfect Thanksgiving Day game. That it would have solved
Right.
your issue of a divisional game. We had talked about it last week, I think, about who I thought, and I thought the Patriots would be out of the home schedule. If we're gonna go outside the division, let's do the Patriots. And then I thought the Giants might get it, but no, they put divisional games. Well, as soon as they announced it was like Cowboys Eagles, I was like, oh, we're getting a division game. It's happening. That they're just gonna stick with divisions for that. I didn't see who were the Christmas. I am so glad Dan Pasca's on here. So hey Dan, and he is glad that we avoided Christmas Day. But my question is, Jacob, you have the schedule up there. Who are the Christmas Day games? I know the Bears have one, but who else is on that day?
So it's Packers at Bears.
Yeah.
So they both have to play on Christmas. Then you've got Bills at Broncos and Rams at Seahawks. Those are
Okay.
the Christmas games. And then I believe that Buffalo is playing Kansas City on Thanksgiving. So
Christmas.
Buffalo got screwed with the double down Thanksgiving and Christmas this year.
God, I am so glad that we're not on the Christmas Day slate. I actually I'm happy that the Bears and Packers are because number one, screw them, but number two, that'll give us like as a family something to watch. And I, I don't know right now who I want to root for, but by that time, we'll probably have one team that we're going to be rooting
Exactly.
for over the other. Right now, I can't ever root for the Packers, but I can't ever root for the Bears. So I just want a terrible looking game. I want everyone to look bad. I want there to just be snow all over the field. Just make it look terrible.
Agreed. But yeah, I will, every schedule release now, I'm going to be looking at that Christmas thing. I mean, they should, if they're going to make you play on Christmas, they should spread that around. The same team should not have to play on Christmas more than once every, 4 years or something like that. Just, we had a very tough game against the Rams. We did not go our way. We turn around, we have another game that we should have won against the Steelers. Had all that stuff at the end. Hard, like way harder of a battle than we thought it should have been, right? We should have took care of business there. But then we got to turn around 4 days later on Christmas and play at Minnesota, another game that we absolutely should have dominated. And it was just like an out of body experience where it's like, what is happening? And it, that was honestly one of the worst days of the season. It was freaking Christmas.
Yeah, it was. It was terrible. It's like whatever could go wrong went wrong in that game. And it's not even like the Vikings played that good. We just played
They were
so bad.
they
And we
were
just like
terrible,
given up.
right?
We had given up. And it was after that Steelers game, I'm not saying the Steelers game broke us, but it really put a nail in our coffin. And for the first time in the Dan Campbell era, it looked like guys had given up and just were
Right.
not giving it all their all. And I'm not saying it's Dan Campbell's fault. It's just I could see what led to them saying this year, We're bringing in young guys that are hungry, that we're going to get back to what we were 2 years ago. We are not going to have a team that, gives up. And, you get
Right.
guys on 1 year contracts that are playing for next year. They're going to play their butts out no matter what because they have to put stuff on tape for the next team that's going to sign them. They can't just mail it in.
Right. But also, we had the schedule playing against us last year, right? I mean, we won the game against the Giants in overtime. Then we played the Packers on Thanksgiving on a short break. We lost that game.
Hmm.
Then we had a full week to play the Cowboys, right? So we beat the
Yeah.
Cowboys. We have that tough game against the Rams, and then the Steelers game, and then another short break against the Vikings. And then we beat the Bears to end the season, but that meant nothing at that point. So how
No.
much of this is like people's bodies failing them because, it's just short break after short break. You don't have a full rest before you're back at it again. Not to
Yeah.
mention, so last year we had the second most difficult schedule before it was released. The strength of schedule, we had the second most difficult in the league. And now you flip around this year because of our fourth place finish. Now we have the sixth easiest schedule. And the Bears are the ones that have the hardest. The Packers have the fourth hardest. Vikings 11th hardest. And we're all the way down 27th. So we have the easiest schedule in the NFC North. And there's not too many of those like short turnarounds for us like there were last year.
Yeah, we've added in the international thing, which throws, that throws a little wrench in there. And like we talked about earlier, they did not do us a solid by putting all those divisional games at the end. But you got you like I said, right before the bye week, you have a chance to really, at the very least, I want to be 4-1 going into that bye week. It's great to be undefeated, but 4-1 going into that bye week, then you're looking good. I don't let's see. I just real quickly, the Bears start off with Panthers, Vikings. They got the Eagles on a Monday night, Jets, Packers, so they're already playing division games early on. So that's good because they're gonna, they'll start to beat each other up. The Bears bye week is week 10. All right, Packers start out with the Vikings. They got the Jets September 20th, and then Atlanta, Tampa Bay, the
Quick
Bears,
turnaround for Atlanta,
Cowboys.
too. Atlanta's Thursday night, so they've got a short
Yeah.
break.
Yep. Yeah, home against Atlanta. They start out on the road the first 2 weeks too. Let's hopefully Aaron Glenn does some damage to the Packers, and then they come off that high and we just smoke them the following week because we play the Jets.
So the Packers have, they're at the Jets, then they have a short Thursday game, but it's home against the Falcons. Then a little bit later, they play us. They're at Detroit, and then they've got another short turnaround, and then they're home on Thursday against the Panthers. Then they have, is it further down? The Dolphins, they play on a Sunday. Then they have to play on Christmas. So that's another shorter break. And then to end the season, they have a Monday night game against Houston. And then depending on how that goes, they might have to play on Saturday against us. That might be another short break.
Yeah.
So the Packers might be the ones getting screwed by the schedule.
Yep. All those short breaks are at home for them because you got Atlanta home game, except for the Christmas one. That's at Chicago, but you got
There's still travel involved with all of them, though.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
not back to back home.
So Vikings, Jets. So they got Bears week 11, then followed Cowboys. Packers schedule is not. I mean, it's a little. They are starting out with a division game. They're not terribly easy at the beginning of the season. They do have, they got to go to the Rams. They got Buffalo late in the season. At Bears on Christmas. Texans could be tough, and the Detroit. So their last 3 weeks are Bears, Texans, Lions. And then the Bills 2 weeks before that. You got the Dolphins in there, which you're expecting them to be week. Although Malik Willis will have something to say, right?
Yeah,
Malik
right.
Willis and that he'll want to be up for that game. So that'd be interesting. The Vikings have an early bye week too. They got week 6 bye week, so they start out with 2 division games: Packers, Bears, right away. That sucks for them. You got Buccaneers, which that might not be easy, and then you got Dolphins, Saints. So their beginning of the week, beginning of the season's not terrible, but yeah, man, yeah. So talking strength of schedule definitely has went up for the Bears, and you're going to see it next year. I mean, they're just not going to be able to do what they did last year. Come in late, try to take care of, Caleb Williams can't hit the broadside of the barn early on, and then all of a sudden comes back in the fourth quarter. I don't think they're going to take these teams by surprise anymore.
No. It's hilarious that he's got this whole Iceman nickname as if like he didn't blow the game. Like they had all the luck in the world, everything bouncing their way.
I know.
And they call him the Iceman.
No.
I don't get it.
No, I told you it's
I've
because
grown
he's
to hate the Bears more.
Yeah, he's ice cold all game. That's why
Yeah.
he's Iceman. He's terrible. Like I don't know. When your
He just
completion
never warms
percentage
up.
is under 60% in the NFL, that's bad. That's terrible.
There was a debate the other day on X from it was like Kurt Bankert, like the former Packers quarterback, where he's like, Caleb Love is the best one in the NFC North right now. Caleb Love. Jordan Love is second. Caleb, the Iceman, was number one, though.
No. I saw things that people were saying Kyler Murray was the number one quarterback in the NFC North. People were arguing that.
There was an actual debate. Have you lost your mind?
I don't understand. Like, people, for some reason, Jared Goff gets thrown aside because he has all these weapons. No, he's creating that. Like right. I'm not saying that he doesn't have weapons. He does. But there are plenty of quarterbacks that have weapons that don't do what Jared Goff does. I mean, Jared Goff is leading this. He's the only one that gets thrown aside because he has all these weapons. Like, those guys wouldn't have those touchdowns or those yards if Jared Goff wasn't getting them the ball. You know what I mean? Justin Jefferson hasn't looked great, right? Like the last year and a half because of quarterback play for Minnesota. Does that mean that all of a sudden Justin Jefferson's not good? No, we just hadn't had good quarterback play. There's a reason why Amon-Ra is one of the top wide receivers, if not the top wide receiver in the NFL. It's because Jared Goff can get him the ball, and Amon-Ra's getting open. He's doing his thing, but Jared Goff's also doing his thing. I don't. It's because that people view him as a statue, and I don't know. They still view him like he was with the Rams, and he's not that quarterback anymore.
And he's proven that. I like the comparison, though, when people talk about Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Because people talk like Joe Burrow is just top three. Like he's one of the best in the league, and, it doesn't matter that he's got Jamar Chase. But then they also say Jamar Chase is top, best wide receiver in the league. Well, they're helping each other out then, right?
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't you say that Jamar Chase has better numbers than because Burrow's throwing to him? Burrow has better numbers because he has Jamar Chase. They're like, no, that's not. Burrow would be doing just as good if he didn't have Jamar Chase. Like, okay, well, I can't argue anymore.
Yeah, I don't. That's like saying Joe Burrow is Joe Burrow because he has T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. Like, it's a chicken and the egg. Who created who here? And but for the Lions, no, everybody else is good. Jared Goff is just the guy that gets to take advantage of all that. No, it's a false premise. It's terrible. Jared Goff does a lot of things elite. Like, you got to do a play action pass. Well, you know what? You got to be able to fake that stuff too. Like, he's very good at that. And the fact that he could turn his back to the defense, turn around and make really good, accurate throws means that he knows where his wide receivers are going to be. He knows, he's very accurate. It's a double standard, and I don't like it at all.
Right.
All right, man.
Detroit versus everybody.
All right, let's get back to the schedule here. I want to know the thing that you hate the most about the schedule. What do you absolutely hate the most?
I can't say there's anything that I necessarily hate about the schedule. I like having a lot of primetime games, and we didn't have as many as we did last year, but I mean, at least we have a considerable amount. It's not like we got completely screwed out of that. I honestly, like, looking at this right away, I can't say that there's anything that I necessarily hate about it, other than just those, like, 3 out of the last 4 being the division. That's like the only thing I don't like.
Let me change the question then. If there was one thing that you could change on the schedule, you had the power to change one thing, what would you change with the schedule?
I would make the bye week a little bit later and try to tie that into the Germany game.
So it's not the division game, Bears on Thanksgiving. You would rather have the bye week.
I would rather the bye week be a little bit later, especially with all the injuries and stuff we've had. And I think we could be very beneficial if the bye week was a few weeks after. Which, like I said, at least it's not the first round of bye weeks, but I mean, it's still early on in the season. And when you look at our opponents, like the Vikings are on the same bye week as us, but the Bears get a week 10 bye, and then the Packers week 11.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish we had our bye week was a little bit later. I guess I don't know if this would be the most, but I think I would change week 7 and week 18, flip them, make it at Green Bay week 7, and then give us the home game for week 18 with the Packers. That way, at least we get one. Like it breaks up that trio of road division games at the end. So I think that would be a simple switch for me. Although that does give you like 3 road games, you get a bye week in the middle. So, but it's at Panthers, at Carolina,
Exactly.
or at Arizona. So it's not like murderer's row there. So I think I would probably do that. I like your bye week. I mean, ultimately, if I could do it, I would make week 11 our bye week just after Germany and leading into
Because then it
that
would
way.
be towards the later half of the season and it would
Yeah.
tie into the
Yep.
international.
Yeah, and then also gives us, ready for Chicago, which who knows who's going to be. We don't know who's going to be fighting for the top of this. The Lions are. Is it going to be the Bears? Is it going to be the Packers? Because I could see a situation where they're both not. They both are not good. The Bears with their schedule, luck going back down to earth for them. They're not going to get all the turnovers that they got last year. Will they get the luck later on? I don't know, but I could see a situation where the Bears are towards the bottom of the division and the Vikings are going to be interesting. I think their quarterback play is possibly going to be better, but I don't think their defense is gonna be as good. They lost, they lost their safe they lost Harrison Smith back there, which I think is gonna be important. Jonathan Grenard is off their team. He was a huge part of that defense. They they lost pieces this year on that defensive side, so I don't know if Flores is gonna be able to do all the things that he was doing before, especially with Grenard gone.
It's not going to be as easy. And I don't have any faith in Kyler Murray at all. I
Mhm.
think that this will definitely expose who Kyler Murray is. And I mean, if I'm wrong and he's fully focused and just takes it by storm, then, more power to him. But all the stuff you heard about his work ethic and everything like that, and now you expect him to come to Minnesota where they've been struggling, and you think he's just going to turn it around and do what Sam Darnold did or better. I don't think so. And I think now what they have is they're going to have week in and week out, they're going to have a controversy between him and McCarthy.
Yeah.
Whoever wins the job, or I don't know if they're handing it to Kyler or what they've announced or whatever it is. But, the first time he slips up, they're going to be talking about McCarthy. If they do go from Kyler to JJ, how long do you give JJ before you go back and forth? I just think they've created a situation where it's going to be a very long year for them, and they're going to constantly be bouncing back between the quarterback thing, unless there's an injury. But that's always going to be a question that they have to answer.
Yeah, the answer is when you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have any. Like, people always say that, if you have
Yeah.
2 quarterbacks, you don't have any, and that could be a situation. They're in, like, a very no-win situation there to me, unless Kyler Murray comes out and balls out, and then they're like, "Oh, he's our guy. We're gonna move on from JJ." But Kyler's gonna wanna get paid if he does ball out, and so you're not gonna get a discount in year 2. You're gonna have to start paying him at starting quarterback rate. So you're not gonna get the rookie discount that you're getting with JJ. And also, you move on from JJ this quick, it's like you just said that we wasted that first round pick.
Right.
Like, man,
I mean, the GM has already taken the heat and taken the fall, but
yeah.
is O'Connell on the hot seat? If they have another, third, fourth place finish and they don't, how much are they asking for him with this roster and with everything they have going right now? Are they
Yep.
expecting to be competing for a Super Bowl right now? Or are they just wanting to not get embarrassed and be a fringe playoff team?
It'd be interesting. I mean, KOC won, Kevin O'Connell won the, coach of the year 2 years ago over Dan Campbell.
That means nothing.
Still wrong decision, but that is wild that he could be on the hot seat if he doesn't do good, but it's mostly the GM. The GM was not good at all. Regardless if you want to say about his paternity leave stuff, I think that that's stupid, whatever argument that is. He just was not very good at drafting. Last year, you saw what happened. You spent a ton of money in free agency, a lot of mistakes, and now you're cutting those guys and you have no money to spend on free agents this year and you're just going to be worse. And the only reason that you have any hope at all is really that Kyler Murray fell in your lap for the league minimum. And so now you got like some hope at quarterback play. Because if JJ was back there, I would say that his injury history has not been good in the NFL, and you're hoping that he would stay healthy, and it just wouldn't look good. And I think their defense is going to be worse next year.
Right.
Even
They
with
don't
Flores.
have the defense helping them control the game. So I just think that's a nightmare. And Kyler Murray is not, the saving grace that they think he's going to be.
Yeah,
But
I
it's
think
off season, so let them have, the Vikings have to try to talk themselves up about something.
I do think it's interesting how Kyle Murray approaches this, right? Because what you said is absolutely true. He has this perception that, he doesn't work very hard. And now you're going to go to a brand new system. You got to prove yourself to a whole new set of teammates, that a team that you were not the number one pick at, right? So now, like, all that stuff goes out the window. You don't have that cachet come in. It's not your team. Like, you're coming into a situation, so you need to prove yourself to this whole new locker room. Will he be able to do that? I'm not saying that he can't. There are plenty of people that have like said, "You doubt me, and I'm going to come right in there." But is Kyler Murray that guy? I don't know. And even if
Kyler
he
Murray's
is,
he's had one winning record his entire career. He's not had, like, you can go through any season and like none of those, like, he has not had one. Some quarterbacks have that fall season, like where Sam Darnold, with the Vikings, where people are like, is this the real Sam Darnold? Is he,
Mhm.
capable of doing that? He proved, yes, he is. He went to a different team. He won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray has not ever had that. So I just don't understand why the Vikings and Vikings fans feel like all of a sudden he's going to throw for 4,000 yards and 30 touchdowns. He never did it, and for a team that was built around him and gave him every chance to succeed.
It's not like he didn't have wide receivers there. I mean, you know what I mean? He had Hopkins for a while. They drafted Marvin Harrison for him. It just never materialized. Yeah, we'll see. KOC is, quarterback whisper. We'll see if he could, bend down low enough to get into Kyler's ears. I don't know. KOC is pretty tall and Kyler's short, so he's gonna have to really get down to whisper in his ear, but we'll see.
It also hurts him, right? If you're supposed to be the quarterback whisperer, you had your pick of the quarterbacks, you chose McCarthy, and now, like, so fast
Yeah.
they've turned.
Yeah. I hate it for JJ, but and he hasn't looked especially good. I mean, he's had like quarters like of games where he's looked really, really good, but also I feel like the defense sets him up really good and really good spots to do well. But he just hasn't looked the part, and he's had plenty of weapons to throw around too. So you can't use that excuse for JJ. He's had his offensive line, maybe not. You could argue that, but as far as wide receivers,
They
Jordan
should be
Addison,
feeding
JJ.
Justin Jefferson, though, right? You have Justin Jefferson. You should be feeding him the ball. You should be giving him target screens, do whatever you have to do to get the ball in his hands. They're
Yep.
not doing it.
No.
And I don't know if that's the play calls happening and just JJ McCarthy's hesitant to go that way, or if the plays are not happening. But I mean, even when McCarthy wasn't there and Carson Wentz was out there, they weren't getting the ball in Justin Jefferson's hands.
I know.
And they were They were way worse when the other quarterbacks were out there. How many yards did Brosmer throw for against us?
God.
Like 60? I don't
Yeah.
even remember.
No, it's terrible. No, let's not relive that, man. That
Sorry.
was just
That,
terrible.
it'll bother me forever.
All right, let's talk about week one though. We haven't like talked about let's start of the season. First of all, it's September 13th, which seems so late into September. It's like almost 2 full weeks into September. We don't get our first game. Season's starting off late this year. We start out with the Saints. Does that make you happy? We're starting out with an easy opponent, perceptually easy, where the perception is that that's going to be easy. Are you happy about that? Did you want something better on week one? What's your thoughts?
I like it. I like the first game being a 1:00. I like it being at home. I like it being at 1:00, and I'm okay with it being like a mid-range opponent. I would have liked for it to be like AFC right away. Like if that could have been the Jets game or the Titans game, that would have been cool to have that first. But I'm all for that. I like it until I don't, which would be if we blow that game. When you're looking at this, you got Saints at home, at Bills, then Jets at home, at Panthers, at Cardinals. If you drop any of those games outside of the Bills, fans are panicking that early in the season.
Yeah.
Especially week one at home. Versus the Saints, you would expect to win that game comfortably. and you're going to be there. But I mean, so how do you like that being the opening game?
Like I said, the home schedule is not that great, so it's not like I'm going, oh yes, Saints in town. But I do like that we have a very good opportunity to get off on the right foot, get a win early on, as opposed to last year going in and playing the Packers and then having a sick feeling, especially as we watched the Packers go in and just destroy the Commanders on a Thursday afterwards. This is going to be really, really tough this year, and that was after they got the Micah Parsons. There was a lot that went in there, right? I like that we're going to have a young offensive line at home, which is good for let's we're going to start out at home. We don't have to worry about road noise. That's going to be really good because it's going to be super loud on Thursday, that Thursday after Buffalo, right? It's going to be insanely loud. So let's, work out these kinks in a friendly environment until we get to, the Bills on Thursday, which, it's going to be a tough test. But you remember all those mistakes our offensive line had week 1. Was it week
Vividly.
2 last year? We had Chicago, right? And then all of a sudden
Right.
the world was better because we scored 50 points at
Chicago
Yeah.
at home, smoked
Yeah.
them out of town.
Yeah. Yes. People saying bad words about Ben Johnson and me having to tell my kids what they're saying. F Ben Johnson. What did
Yeah.
they chant at? I don't know. I don't know what they're saying. So I mean, you get the Saints. So the first 2 games that I go to this season are Saints and Jets. No, I'm not clamoring to see any of those players, right? Like, I'm like, who do I wanna you got what the Saints drafted, was it Jordan Tyson, the wide receiver? I think they drafted him. Jets got who'd they get? Arvell Reese, right? They went with Arvell Reese. So, I mean, you do get some good good rookies early on. So, I mean, I do look
I
forward from
guess, but
that
that's so
standpoint.
early that, you don't really
Yeah,
know for sure.
right.
The Jets got David Bailey.
Dave Bailey, I couldn't remember. We kept arguing
When
back
you
and forth
said
before.
when you said
Yeah,
that, I was like, wait a minute. I had to think
yeah.
about it. Like, was I wrong?
David Bailey, who they said they didn't need a draft visit with, right? And then
Right.
they just, that was because they had already made it decided. And someone, Dan Pass just pointed out, it's Kellen Moore's return to Detroit. The our famed backup quarterback that's now a head
Right.
coach. Yeah, yeah. We'll roll out the red carpet for Kellen Moore.
Yeah. Kellen Moore and then AG a couple weeks after.
Yep. AG, yeah. So I also, another thing I haven't really thought about, Buffalo's got a new coaching staff too. Getting them early may be an advantage too. They're not going to be
That's
fully
true.
like
Maybe
getting
they're not
them.
firing on all cylinders just yet.
Yeah, like we'll have a week to kind of see how, maybe what's different, get some stuff on tape, but it won't be, they won't be, maybe there'll be some stuff going on. Also defensively, like that game has a chance. Like I don't know what the over under on that game is going to be, but it's going to be in the 50s. I expect, it's going to be a shootout, much like it was at Ford Field a couple years ago, right? When it was like
Right.
whatever, both teams got in the 40s in that game. So I expect a very, very high scoring game in that way. The other thing that I wanted to talk to you about is week 9 at Dolphins. I was waiting to see when that was going to be. I know JJ's a big Dolphins fan. My brother is too. And so I think we might be going to that game. I think we might be heading down to Miami to that game. I haven't talked to him since the schedule come out, but we had talked about it beforehand. With it being November 8th, I don't have any work commitments. So I think that could be an opportunity because my other brother has like over 1 million airline miles. So we get like free flights down there, which is
That's
pretty
what I was
awesome.
just going to mention. It's like, well, you know what? With the price of gas, Spirit Airlines is not available anymore. Gas
Yeah.
expensive, so the flights are expensive. It costs you just as much to drive down there. But how much does that, save you versus just going to Ford Field because you're paying astronomical prices there if you don't have season tickets?
Yeah. Well, also I think like it's going to be cheap. I think my brother went last year to a Dolphins game. The Dolphins, it was the Jets Dolphins. I think it was the Monday night game. Got like $20 seats.
Yeah,
Unbelievable. And so that's also nice. Week 9, Dolphins will probably be out of it by then. People will be wanting to sell tickets, get some tickets. I will sit. Now, the trick I learned last time I went down to Miami was get on the home side because it's the
the
shaded side.
sun.
And
Yeah,
oh my God. And even though it's November, that'll still be hot in Florida, especially way down in Miami. So you got to sit on you gotta sit on the home side because the other side you're roasting and it's very uncomfortable.
Looks like the cheapest seats right now for the Lions and Dolphins on StubHub, it's $129.
Yeah. Well, that's not bad, especially when you compare to Lions tickets, but they'll be cheaper. They'll be cheaper by the time that comes around.
It'll cost you $75 to get into the Lions preseason game.
Did they announce the Lions preseason teams? I didn't
Yeah.
even see that yet. Who are they?
Yes.
Let's talk
I
about
think
that.
the Commanders are the one that's at home. We're at, hang on, I have to look. I remember the Colts. I think it's Colts Commanders at Bengals. I kind of not see the home one now.
Yeah, because I'll probably go to the home preseason game this year, especially when there's a chance that the starters
The
might play in that
starters.
game. Yeah, come on, man, you're screwing this up. But all right, so
What's
while
happening is
you're
that I'm not paying for these websites, and each one I click on is like, hey, do this, do that. At
yeah,
Cincy,
exactly.
at Cincy, then the home game is against Washington, and then at the Colts. So I was right.
What's
The
that date?
Commanders is the home
They
game.
don't have the dates yet, right? They
They
just have the
don't.
teams. Okay, all right. Well, that's cool. Tennessee comes back to town on week 14. Last time they were here, we just totally blew them out. That
Right.
was, and then yeah, ending on the Giants game. Yeah, the home schedule is just Bucks. Well, at least we got the Bucks on there. Tampa. We could talk to Tampa Tones, which I'll be excited about. We'll have to start build some relationships with some of the. I think we have Buffalo already. The Jets. We don't have anybody. We don't have anybody for the Panthers. Maybe we'll talk to Bo about Arizona. We'll have to get him on the line.
Right.
See if he remembers. Yeah, Dolphins. Yeah, schedule is kind of what I was thinking about. Oh, we got a question here, Jacob. Jimmy Thompson 2844 says, I'm worried about Jack Campbell a little bit next year. I'm assuming that he's talking about the contract. Losing Reader and Lopez could make his job much more difficult. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm not. I just didn't read it. So losing Reader and Lopez could make his job more difficult. What do you think? Do you think, you know, the fact that we don't have, as nose tackle depth, won't be taking as much blockers that, Jack Campbell will have to be, he's going to be more able to be blocked. What should you think about that?
Well, I mean, we let both those guys go, right? Like if the Lions wanted DJ Reader, if they wanted Roy Lopez, they could have paid both of them. They could be here right now. Especially the DJ Reader thing felt like maybe at the right price they would have brought him back. But Roy Lopez, as soon as he found like more money, I'm sure they just let Roy Lopez go. But Tyreek has a season underneath his belt, right? So you got to expect that you want Tyreek Williams to step up. Aleem, recovering from the injury and everything that he had last year, you hope he returns into form. You still have Levi. We drafted another defensive tackle. I think they're going to be okay. That's, it's an interesting thing to think about, like, the defensive tackles, taking up space and making Jack Campbell's job easier. That's something that I have not really thought about. I don't think that there's going to be too much of a fall off there. How do you feel though?
I think Tyleek's going to be better. I think he could take on double teams. I think he's going to take on that Reader role. So I'm not as worried about it. Losing Lopez is interesting. Out of everyone that we've lost, that's probably the one that I'm most sad about, to be honest with you. Even over Alex or whatever, I really thought Lopez would be back this year. And I liked the growth that he had last year. And I was hoping that he'd grow a little bit more and we'd have some more snaps for him. He'd get worked into the rotation a little bit more. So I think that, I think it's a valid concern. However, I don't think Jack Campbell looked like an all pro because of what was happening up front. I really don't. I think Jack Campbell looks like an all pro because Jack Campbell is the growth of Jack Campbell, and he's been really good, and that's going to continue to happen. I think we're going to see some switches on the way that we play defensively up front, and I think we're going to also see switches in the linebacker. So there's going to be a lot of scheme stuff going on. So I don't think you could look at it as a one-to-one from last year's defense to this year's defense because I think that it's a lot of things are going to be changed. So I think the opportunities for Jack, we know what we have with Jack. I'm not. I think Jimmy, you should be. I'm not as worried about it as you seem to be. I'm not saying it's not valid, but I think I'm not worried about Jack. I think he's going to do well, and I have faith that Tyleek is going to move right into that starting role, and hopefully he gets some more pass rush. And you're right. You mentioned Aleem. Uh, Aleem's coming off, the injury last year. He's going to be back to being Aleem. Hopefully that's taking up multiple blockers or getting it to the quarterback. So I think we're going to be all right there.
Right. We hope so.
All right, man. Anything else that you want to talk about regarding schedule, either us? I haven't had. I think next week maybe we'll look at the rest of the NFL because I hadn't had a chance to look at the Monday night schedule because I do like to look at that and see what's a compelling game. But if you could go to any of these Lions games, home games, what one would you go to outside of the Germany
I was
one?
just going to say, outside of the division ones, I mean, the Buccaneers
Yeah.
would be a cool game. The Monday night thing, I've been to like a primetime game like that to see the Patriots come to town before. That was a really cool experience. So I think
Yeah.
the Monday night one, even though it's the Giants, that would be cool too.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, that's right before my birthday.
Yeah. I'm excited to start the season off. I really am. I'll be excited about week 1. And then, like I said, Green Bay, week 7. That's the one that out of probably everything. Monday night will be fun, but seeing the Packers come to town, it will be a 4:25 game, a little bit later. You could have, I don't know if they flex those games or not, but could be one of the first flex games of the year to a Sunday night game, depending on what else is that week. I don't even know what the Sunday night game is that week, but
Right.
4:25 is cool. It's not necessarily prime time, but there are really only 2 other games going on generally at that. So, the eyes are all on you at that point. So I do like that. So I'm looking forward to that. All right, man. Let's go Pistons. Tomorrow night, this is it, man.
From
This
here
is
on
it.
out, right.
I
Can't
know.
lose another one.
I won't watch. I wasn't watching most of the game. I'm the one that turned it on with like 3 minutes left, and I caused them to
Don't say that to me.
It is. It's true. So I won't even turn them on tomorrow. I thought there was no way they're going to blow this with up by 9 with 2.5 minutes left, and the refs and Detroit had they just kept going to the hole, not getting any calls, and just coming up empty. Ball just not going in the hoop. It was terrible.
Cavs favored by 3.5 right now. That's what I was looking for. But
Mhm.
I mean, that's catastrophic for the league. If you have a Knicks versus Cavs Eastern Conference Finals, and then you're constantly just blowing the whistle back and forth and watching these guys not try to even shoot the ball. They're just trying to get the calls.
Yep.
And then what makes that even worse, JJ pointed this out to me earlier because I mentioned that. So what makes it even worse is that one of those teams is then going to have to play the Thunder in the finals. And that's almost an unwatchable NBA finals. If they're not playing good basketball, they're just shooting 70, 80 free throws a game. That's unheard of. That's what's ruining the league. That's why people don't want to watch. No one wants to watch James Harden almost sit in the air because he's sticking his legs out so far to try to get a foul. And he's not trying to shoot the ball. That's the sole purpose is he's trying to get somebody to touch him so he can get to the free throw line.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Nothing looks natural. And then I cannot stand Donovan Mitchell's windmill thing where you're taking 28 steps before you get to the hoop and you're carrying the ball over someone's head. Man, I don't know.
Right.
It's not fun.
They don't play very
that.
good basketball.
No, it's not very fun to watch.
But they're keeping it close and the refs are giving them the calls. So
yeah,
we should have been able to close them out.
If
and we've
we
not
win,
been finishing it.
If we win tomorrow, I feel really good about it. We win tomorrow, I feel good about game 7 being in Detroit.
Right.
I just do. And hopefully the whistles start being at least even. Oh my God. It is ridiculous. Donovan Mitchell and Harden just get breathed on and they're just blow the whistle. Danis runs to the hoop and gets hit in the head and they don't do anything. It's I get that superstars are going to get some of the calls, but it's almost like a foregone conclusion that if anybody gets in the paint when you're Cleveland, the Pistons are going to foul. Whereas with the Pistons getting the lane, it's that's one thing that I think is a disadvantage for Cade being so strong is that he could fight through some of that contact and he doesn't flop. He will definitely complain afterwards, look at the official throw up his hands, but he is not flopping when he goes to the lane. He's trying to score and he just looks so strong. He's so big that he could absorb that contact and make it look like he wasn't fouled. And I think that's a disadvantage for him.
Right.
As someone that would
the disadvantage is that he's trying to put the ball in the hoop.
Yes.
When he goes to the hoop, he's trying to score. That's the disadvantage. Because the other guys are not trying to score. They're trying to make it look good so they get free throws.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were supposed to be punishing people for doing that, but they are not, and they're still blowing the whistle more than ever.
Well,
After game 1, Donovan Mitchell, criticized the refs, said that he was going to have to resort to flopping to get some of these calls. He doesn't know what he can do differently. And now all of a sudden, the Cavs are shooting twice as many free throws as the Pistons.
well, Mitchell had one of those games had more free throws than the whole Pistons team, right?
Right.
Like, yeah, there's no way that should happen. Just impossible. And it's not like the Pistons are a 3-point shooting team where they're not forcing no, they go in the paint like to
Right.
get that contact. Like it's ridiculous to think that somehow the Cavs don't foul and the Pistons do. I mean, the Pistons are not afraid of contact, but they're not doing anything any more egregious than what the Cavs are. So, all right, man. Let's wrap it up here. I don't know what our plans are next week. Probably Tuesday night. We'll see. We'll look at the whole NFL schedule. We got some other stuff. We're going to be getting into our offseason talk. We're going to, be looking at, top running back lists, top quarterback lists. We'll be doing a lot of different stuff, and then we'll try to get some guests on here. I know Ash will want to be back on, and he's always fun to have on, and maybe we'll get Morgan back on here. So we'll keep the all season lively, and without rookie minicamp, it sucks. It's one less thing that we get to talk about, right?
Right. That's okay, though. Everybody healthy going into the season.
Yeah, and we signed all our draft picks really early, so no drama there, which is awesome.
Yeah, right.
Usually no drama to the second round pick. Usually the second round pick is the one that you're worried about because it's like, are they going to get a fully guaranteed contract? There's just a little bit of leeway there. Where that was our first one. Derek Moore was like, no, get me into camp. I'm ready to go. And then Blake Miller was our last one, and it wasn't like that was egregious. That was just he was just happened to be the last one to sign out of all of them.
I heard this year there were people like third, fourth rounders or something getting fully guaranteed deals for the first time ever. So
That's third rounders start to get scary because especially this draft, like the talent dropped off really quickly. So it's like, are you going to really guarantee that this guy's going to be on your roster for 3 or 4 years? Like you don't know what they haven't even taken a snap. Whereas first rounders, you could start to get it. Oh, one thing you would be proud of me while I was cutting grass, I'm already listening to 2027 draft prospects. I'm making a valid effort to be better at draft coverage for myself and to be like, not that I was terrible last year, but I want to be better at it and have a good conversation with you about that. So I've already started to listen to that. I know next year's draft class is always no matter what year it is, like wait till next year. But there is some real hype about next year's class. So that'll be fun to talk about.
right. You're right, though. There always is. And like the top 10 guys you're talking about right now might not even be first rounders by the time the draft happens.
Arch Manning, again, being rumored to be the number one pick, not the way he played at the beginning of last year. Then he started to come on, but he could stay for his senior year, which if he's Arch Manning, he's making so much NIL money, and he already has Manning money. So it's like,
right.
does he need?
What's he need?
What's he need to do any of that? So I don't know. But all right, man, I'm ready to wrap up here. He's Jacob. I'm Jason. Line schedule's out. Real football's coming in just a few months away. Let's go Lions. Stop. There we go.